ground up.
Mr. Hale, it's an honor. The man who built New York.
People will insist that your buildings make you immortal. Now, as you slip away, do you feel immortal? We offer humanity's greatest minds more time to fulfill their potential. Designed to offer you the very best of the human experience. It's alive, an empty vessel. If we do this, there's no turning back. Your old life is over.
What's that?
Something to stop your heart.
What?
It's something to stop your heart.
How are you feeling?
How's that new body smell?
Sense of humor. Good.
Just relax and have some fun. After all, at your age, I'd say you've earned it.
And you can have all of this. After all the hard work, you can have all of this. Money in the cars, clothes, you can have all of this. Fall up in the best clubs, you can have all the women.
Are you okay?
Fine. I just haven't seen anything like that in about 52 years. This wasn't a hallucination.
Immortality has some side effects.
Pet Sematary is a horror novel by Stephen King, first published in 1983. It explores themes of grief, death, and the devastating consequences of meddling with forces beyond human control. At its core, the novel is a chilling examination of a family's descent into despair after experiencing tragic loss. It delves deeply into human emotions, showing how far someone might go to reverse fate, even when the cost is unspeakably horrific. Shortly after their visit to the pet cemetery, tragedy strikes when the Creed family's beloved cat, Church, short for Winston Churchill, is hit by a truck and killed. Louis dreads breaking the news to Ellie, fearing the pain and questions about death that will arise. Seeing Louis's distress, Judd offers a solution, one that is strange and ominous. He takes Louis on a late-night journey beyond the boundaries of the pet cemetery to an ancient burial ground farther in the woods, where the Micmac tribe once buried their dead. Judd explains that this burial ground has a strange power. It can bring things back to life. Louis buries Church there, and the next day, the cat indeed returns. But it is not the same. Church smells of the grave, his movements are sluggish, and his demeanor has changed. While he's alive again, he has lost the essence of what made him a beloved pet. Instead of bringing joy, Church now brings a sense of unease and dread into the Creed home. The novel takes a devastating turn when Gage, Louis's young son, is tragically killed. One day, while playing outside, Gage runs into the road and is hit by a speeding truck. The family is plunged into grief, with Rachel particularly struggling to cope with the overwhelming sorrow. Louis is consumed by guilt, anger, and helplessness. The loss of his son leaves him emotionally shattered, and he begins to spiral, questioning everything he knows about life and death. As Louis mourns Gage, his thoughts keep returning to the power of the burial ground. Even though Judd warns him repeatedly about its dangers, telling him that sometimes dead is better, Louis becomes obsessed with the possibility of using the burial ground to bring Gage back. Judd reveals that he had once seen a human buried in the Micmac burial ground. The result was a grotesque and dangerous mockery of life. He pleads with Louis not to make the same mistake. Despite Judd's warnings and the knowledge of the unnatural results that the burial ground produces, Louis's grief over Gage's death overpowers his rationality. Against his better judgment and driven by desperation, Louis digs up Gage's body and brings him to the burial ground, hoping against hope that his son will come back as he was before the accident. Gage does return, but like Church, he is not the same. The child that comes back is a twisted, malevolent version of the boy Louis once knew. Gage is filled with a terrifying, unnatural evil, far removed from the innocent child who died. the resurrected Gage embarks on a violent killing spree, first targeting Judd Crandall, who had tried to prevent this from happening. At the same time, Rachel, who had been away visiting her parents, rushes back to Ludlow after sensing that something is horribly wrong. By the time she returns, it is too late. Gage kills her as well, completing the cycle of death and destruction that has overtaken the Creed family. In a final confrontation, Louis is forced to face the horrible reality of what he has done. He must kill the creature that was once his son. Broken and traumatized by the carnage, Louis's mind finally snaps under the weight of his actions. Despite the catastrophic results of using the burial ground, Louis remains in denial about its true nature. In the final, haunting pages of the novel, Louis carries Rachel's body to the Micmac burial ground, convinced that this time it will be different, that he can bring her back without the terrible consequences he faced with Church and Gage. As the book closes, Louis sits in his home, waiting for Rachel to return. The last scene is one of chilling ambiguity. Rachel does return, but her reanimated body is clearly twisted and malevolent, just as Gage's was. The novel ends with her cold hand on Louis's shoulder and the single whispered word, darling, leaving the reader with a sense of inescapable doom. Pet Sematary is a dark exploration of grief, death, and the human desire to undo loss. Louis's tragic decisions reflect the impossibility of accepting death, as he pushes against natural boundaries in a futile attempt to reclaim what has been lost.
The 2045 Initiative is an organization that's founded by the Russian entrepreneur Dmitry Itsko in participation with several other Russian specialists in the field of robotics, neural interfaces, artificial organs and systems. The primary goal of this organization is to create technologies enabling the transfer of an individual's personality to a more advanced non-biological carrier and extending life, including to the point of immortality. According to its official website, the organization even has a roadmap to achieve their cyber immortality goals. Between 2015 to 2020, they plan to develop and to implement widespread use of something called avatars, a cyborg that is controlled by the brain-computer interface. The proposed use is the ability to work in dangerous environments or to be of help in extreme rescue operations and travel. Between 2020 to 2025, they plan to create an autonomous life support system for the human brain that's linked to a robot, or as they call it, avatar. What it does is to provide patients with completely irreversible, worn-out body, but with a perfectly intact brain, access to a fully functional bodily life by connecting your fully functioning brain to a perfectly synchronized avatar. Between 2030 to 2035, and here's where things get tricky. In this time span, their plan is to create a digital model of the human brain and consciousness with the subsequent development of means to transfer human consciousness onto an artificial carrier. This hypothetical process is not something new. The theory has been around for a long time. It is called whole brain emulation. The process would involve scanning mental state, including all the long-term memories and even the self, and copying it to a computer. The computer could then run a simulation model of the brain's information processing such that it responds in essentially the same way as the original brain, meaning indistinguishable from the brain, and thus it experiences having a conscious mind. This is essentially what 2045 Initiative aims to do. Once this is successfully done, humans are free from their bodies, from dying. You could in theory keep copying yourself to different systems, to different avatar models. So death will become a choice, and maybe you can be resurrected at any time you want. This unlocks a world of opportunity for humanity. From deep sea exploration to space travel across the universe, anything is possible. At least that's the idea. But this idea paves way for an incredible number of questions that are deeply rooted in philosophy and spirituality. For example, if you copy a person's brain pattern and upload it to a digital system, is the new avatar the same person as before? Yes, it has all the long-term memories of the original and all the emotions. But is it the same? Isn't it just a digital doppelganger of the original, a mere clone? When you copy the brain pattern and the informational system, how can you be sure that the sense of self or the consciousness transfers to the digital system? Actually, we still don't know what consciousness is. Where does the sense of self, the I, the ego comes from? How can you copy something that has been so elusive? Again, this is not something new. For hundreds of years, authors and scientists have been wondering about this very same conundrum. In fact, in 1775, a Scottish philosopher called Thomas Reid said this: "I would be glad to know whether when my brain has lost its original structure and when some 100 years after the same materials are fabricated so curiously as to become an intelligent being, whether I say that being will be me, or if 2 or 3 such beings should be formed out of my brain, whether they will all be me, and consequently one and the same intelligent being." But we are also not in a position to dismiss this initiative as just another wishful science fiction project. Transhumanism is an international intellectual movement that aims to transform the human condition by developing and producing widely available technologies to greatly enhance human intellect and psychology. Projects such as 2045 Initiative comes under transhumanism. Snippets of transhumanist ideas could even be found in the works of several early philosophers. But lately, we've seen a tremendous growth in this movement from around the world, thanks to the rise of automation and artificial intelligence. The progress is real. Several conferences are conducted every year around the world to contribute to the eventual merge of humanity and technology. Initiatives such as Neuralink, Elon Musk's new venture that attempts to create an ultra-high bandwidth brain-machine interface, 2045 Initiative, the work that's been done by robotic specialists at Boston Dynamics, proves that digital immortality is no longer a science fiction scenario. That brings me to another question. Are we ready for this? Because I am discussing whole brain emulation and transhumanism from a planet where racism is still a problem. Religious violence, terrorism, borders, even honor killings and female infanticide, where a newborn baby is deliberately killed just because it is a she, are still relevant issues. We still need imaginary lines that prevents us from freely traveling across the planet. Unfortunately, we are still primitive. It doesn't matter that few people are ready to overlook all the differences and work towards progress. My personal opinion is that it only works if everyone is on board. We all go or no one goes. That has always been the case. Violence has no place in humanity's evolution. I'm not saying this from an emotional standpoint. Logically, scientifically, it doesn't make sense. It hinders progress. But when you turn on any news channel, it is clear that most of us are still busy with consuming war stories, turning on each other, fearing the next person, and burning incredible, beautiful civilizations to the ground. For every 10 years of advancement, it seems like we are undoing 100 years of progress. At our current state, we are not ready for this. But we should be, because it is going to happen with or without us.
The 2045 Congress is held in Moscow. It is a debate platform for discussion of our civilization's prospects for development. 2012 to 2013, the global economic and social crises are exacerbated. The debates on the global paradigm of future development intensifies. New transhumanist movements and parties emerge. Russia 2045 transforms into World 2045. Simultaneously, the 2045.com international social network for open innovation is expanding. 2013 to 2014. New centers working on cybernetic technologies for the development of radical life extension rise. The race for immortality starts. 2015 to 2020. The avatar is created. a robotic human copy controlled by thought via brain-computer interface. 2020 to 2025, an autonomous system providing life support for the brain and allowing it interaction with the environment is created. The brain is transplanted into an Avatar B. With Avatar B, man receives new, expanded life. 2025. The new generation of avatars provides complete transmission of sensations from all 5 sensory robot organs to the operator. 2030 to 2035, Rebrain. The colossal project of brain reverse engineering is implemented. World science comes very close to understanding the principles of consciousness. 2035, the first successful attempt to transfer one's personality to an alternative carrier. The epoch of cybernetic immortality begins. 2040 to 2050. Bodies made of nanorobots that can take any shape arise alongside hologram bodies.